For years, radio was a way of, I don't know, but you could privately engage with people, and they felt like you, at the best, they felt like you were a friend of theirs that they would listen to, you know, on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. And then how did you sort of work the material of then your podcast with Ricky Gervais, the Ricky Gervais Show? Before, was it sort of pre-planned, or was it like a more organic?
Well, when it was initially, it was just Ricky and I on a radio station, and we would kind of have a quick chat beforehand, and then we would just make us win along. And then we got given this producer, Karl Pilkington, and we asked him a question. He was just there to press the buttons and make tea and things. I forget, we asked him a question, or he was telling a story or something, and he said something about blah, 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 and the neighbours, you know, and they were the neighbours that had a horse in the living room. Anyway, and we were like, what do you mean anyway? Let's go back to the neighbours with the horse in the living room. And for him, that wasn't the interesting part of the story. And we quickly realised that he was sort of gold dust, you know, and he just, almost anything that you asked him was just dynamite, because he just had this completely unique view of the world. You know, we were talking once about celebrities who are only famous because of who their father is. So you know, Callum Best, whose father was footballer George Best, Bianca Gascoigne, you know, lots of, and we were saying they're only famous because of who their dad is, and Karl said, well, you could say the same thing about Jesus. and you're sort of like, yeah, that kind of makes sense in a way. And I remember we asked him once to explain evolution, and he said something like, evolution's easy, isn't it? It's you know, it's like slugs, monkeys, mermaids, man. You know, of course it is. And so he was just a never-ending, you know, supply of. It's like if you'd found a magic lamp, you know, and you could just rub it every week, and magic would come out, really. And so then it really became a show about him, really. And off we went. And so there was never any planning there. I mean, it was just showing up and winding Karl up until he spoke.
Can you see the Karl Pilkington radio shows coming back at any time?
The thing is with that is, people ask me, and I do miss it, and I even now and again listen to some of the old ones. Did everyone hear that question? Is Karl Pilkington's our podcast coming back? I don't think it would work. I think Karl became my little public experiment. It was like a cross between.
Because it felt so unscripted.
It was unscripted.
And that was
totally
what
unscripted.
was.
That is real. It was unscripted. He was like my little experiment, like a cross between. I don't know. Have you seen the film Lawnmower Man? It was like, okay. A cracking reference to anyone who has. But I always thought that Karl was like, I'd found a 10,000-year-old caveman and shaved it, thawed it out, put clothes on it, and then tried to teach it sort of art and philosophy and science. And I think, because he had a good brain, I kept telling him, I said, you've got a good brain, you just don't use it, right? And you know, he found things that interested him, which were spurious and often apocryphal or nonsense, just things on the internet, you know, baby born, half monkey, half. I was going, it's not true, Karl, it's not true. He'd go, look at him. I go, it's just a hairy kid. He's a hairy kid. He's 100% human. He's got a lot of hair. It says here he's half monkey. It doesn't matter what it says there, Karl. It's not half monkey. But I think he became sort of a little bit more worldly wise.
I suppose it's that chemistry that you guys captured in that show. It's hard to replicate that kind of chemistry.
You couldn't contrive it. I discovered him. He opened his little slack jaw once, and he said something, and I just my ears went up like that, and I just thought, this guy's interesting. It's like I found him under a rock. So I don't think it would be the same. I don't think it would be the same. He's sort of retired now.
It doesn't matter how many times I re-listen to it, it's still golden.
I listen to it about, people send me tweets of like clips, and I'd completely forgotten about them, but it's like the first time he heard about something that I might introduce a concept to him, and it's the first time, and I can hear his brain working. It's like a silence where, you know, he'd say things to me like childlike. He'd say things like, he said, "What's the most amazing fact ever?" I go, "What do you mean?" He said, "Tell me something that'll blow my mind." I said, "Well, the nature of infinity is pretty amazing." I said, "Okay, here's one." I said, "There are as many even numbers as even and odd numbers put together." He went, "No." I told him the theory that, you know, the model of infinity, the infinite amount of chimps working on typewriters would write the computer with Shakespeare. He wouldn't have that. He said, "Have they read Shakespeare?" I went, "That's nothing to do with it." I said, that's nothing to do with it, right? He'd go, I just don't think they do that. I go, no, take out cognitive reason. There's no choice. They've chosen monkeys to take out choice and reason. They're just hitting away like that, and he just couldn't get it. He couldn't get that it was so I think he's learned his lesson, and I think he's sort of content. I just don't think it would work now.
I wonder if we would have been censored more, because I feel like we're living in an age now that is a little bit more sensitive to things, and maybe we wouldn't get away with it. I don't know.
And kind of then in that vein, especially with An Idiot Abroad, the humour is known to be slightly more tongue-in-cheek, slightly more offensive.
Offensive?
Offensive, yeah, slightly.
Okay. No, fair enough. Again, I mean, I don't mean that disingenuously. I think because to me, Karl is like a sort of idiot man-child. It's like if a child said something offensive, it seems harder to take it seriously, if you know what I mean. And I think because of knowing Karl, that is sort of how I take it. But I can certainly see from the outside, it looks like he's offensive.
Yeah, but do you think in perhaps like our slightly more politically correct world, it's harder for comedians to sort of do their job because they're having to constantly tread the line and evaluate whether they are being offensive, as opposed to just trying to be funny?
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? Because Karl, you know, for instance, just to take Karl as an example in that show, you know, he's travelling the world and he's reacting authentically to the world around him, and he's ignorant. I mean, he is the Little Englander personified. You know, he's a man, I'm not joking, who takes little bags of tea bags when he goes to, you know, Mauritius or something for 2 weeks. You know, he, like my parents might, you know, he's someone who, you know, he's someone who will go on holiday when he chooses to go on holiday and immediately look for a cafe that serves the full English breakfast, you know, while in Spain. And I think, therefore, if you send him to far-flung places, he reacts, you know, in an authentic way that's not him trying to fish for the controversial thing to say. I think he is just reacting. And I think I don't think it's born from prejudice. I think a lot of it is born from ignorance or naivety, and I think sometimes that lands him into hot water, and other times it's sort of is weirdly sweet. Like I remember him visiting the wall that divides, you know, Israel from Palestine, and him just kind of just baffled by it. Like he was just like, it's so ugly. I don't understand. Like he doesn't understand the nuance of that debate. So to him, he's just this like a child seeing this monstrosity and kind of not understanding it. And so, you know, it's sweet in a way.
Time at XFM is often seen as being sort of the beginning of the podcast era, and helping sort of pioneer this new sort of resurgence of radio, maybe in a new form of entertainment. Are you proud of that sort of cultural legacy? Did you have anywhere that size in mind when you started out?
Well, it's funny, you know, as you walk around the union, you see those pictures of, you know, pioneers in various fields like, you know, Einstein and Malcolm X, and we got Karl Pilkington to, you know, talk about eating, you know, when he's in the jungle. So yes, a pioneer in every sense. But I didn't know what a podcast was, and Ricky suggested there's this new thing where, you know, you download it straight to your iPod at the time. Whatever. Okay, I no idea. And we started doing them, and then it was fun because you had none of the restrictions of radio. It's obviously with radio you're still restricted in what you can say within reason, with a podcast at the time, it was gloves off, you could say anything. And it just suddenly, we were in the Guinness Book of Records for the number of downloads. I mean, that's because there was literally no one else doing it, so it's easy to win a world record when no one else was doing it. But now, as a keen podcast fan, I love it. I'm very proud that we were kind of ahead of the curve on that. And it's funny, I've done people's podcasts since, and they've talked about ours as being kind of instructive and informative for them. And I've met people, I was in Vietnam, I met people listening to the podcast, and people all over the world, because there's a great democratization with that. You can just download it from anywhere in the world and listen, and that's, I think, one of the most exciting things about media now that since when I began, is that it's kind of wide open. It's like an international field. If you want to do a podcast about...
Well, I was just going to say, the reason I asked that question, because you were talking about Karl Pilkington earlier, and I don't know if you would say that he's a clever man, but he was certainly incredibly funny.
He was incredibly funny, but it was his attitude that was funny. And if you took it by himself, there was still the relationship. He still needed a couple of pretentious media types thinking that they were winning, but they were losing, because he didn't care what we thought. So there was still a little bit of a dynamic going on. Not just... If Karl Pilkington went on the radio and said, all right, world, here's what I think, monkeys and that, people would go, why is this bloke telling them? But because he was goaded by a couple of pseudo-intellectual media types thinking that they were embarrassing him, there became a texture to it, and people wanted him to win. People loved him winning. Winning would maybe making me laugh, or being proved right for something that, so there was still something going on. It wasn't just a man saying stupid things. So yeah.
I think in the first series he did not know what was coming ever, and he was genuinely alarmed. And there's a lot on the cutting room floor of him just angry, not entertaining for anybody. It's just him. No, fucking. I think by the second series, in order to persuade him to go, we didn't tell him the specifics, but we would give hints, just because he just refused to go otherwise. But normally the limits, if we were pushing him to the limits, that was not him play acting. That was him almost sort of trying to negotiate with the producers, as to exactly... I mean, the bungee jumping, we wanted him to do the full bungee jumping. He refused, and he does some tiny little... I forget, but doesn't he just jump off from a foot? He jumps from there to there, it's pathetic. And so now, and then of course ultimately he's doing his own stuff now, because he doesn't want to share the money with us, or sensibly be tortured without him knowing it. Because that's the thing, once you make someone a celebrity, they then have a lot of power, and they can turn around and go, no, why on earth would I eat a sheep's in the jungle? But it's not him sort of turning it on for the cameras, really. It's not manufactured in that way. Yeah. And I think when you are very tall, and if you've got glasses or whatever, or I don't know, when you're a teenager, you have those insecurities, and I remember someone saying to me once, in an interview, do you think you use humour to control when people laugh at you? And that might be true, that might be just a fancy way of saying it, but I think there's some truth in that. And I think because I always sort of felt a little bit awkward in that way, it seemed natural to make fun of the way I looked, or the height, or whatever, sort of before anyone else did. And then as we moved into working with other people, certainly when I met Ricky, he was short and fat, and in my mind old. In actual fact, he was younger than I am now, but there we are. And Karl obviously does have a head like a fucking orange. So you use what you can have. Plus, also just sort of physicality is the using your body, particularly if you're tall. I think just it's fun.
Leave Karl Pilkington alone.
I love Karl Pilkington.
Yeah, but he must hate you. Does he hate you?
No, he loves me. We're best friends, but I'm just fascinated with him. We're best.
Does he have a family, Karl Pilkington?
What, sorry?
Does he have a family?
He has a girlfriend of, like, I think 18 years.
Children?
Who's no children, no pets. No.
How is he treated in public at large?
He doesn't go in public, really. He puts a little woolly hat on. He doesn't.
Is he well respected among his peers?
I think so. I think people are confused by him.
Confused by him.
Some people think he's a character that I write his lines for him. Some people think
do that thing about where the humans and chimpanzees are...
I've been trying to... He didn't really go to school much. He went to school a couple of times. But over the last 10 years, I've been trying to sort of inflame his imagination. And he's got a good brain. He just hasn't used it. You know what I mean? It's... no, but I was saying to him that chimpanzees are genetically identical to human beings, right? 98.6% genetically identical. And I said, think of that, Karl. 1.4% difference. And Karl said, that's got to be the arse. Isn't that great? So good.
Yeah, I think he's right.
He's right. I was talking to him once, and again, he's fascinated with science and nature, and I was saying, Karl, there's a programme on tonight on television, it's called The Truth About the Giant Squid. And he went, who's been lying about it up till now? He's amazing. He's fantastic. I was telling him once, we did a Christmas podcast about the Nativity, and I said, well, you know, allegedly 3 wise men came on the day of Jesus' birth, and they brought him presents of gold, frankincense and myrrh. And Karl said, well, them presents for his birthday or Christmas.
Wow. That's good.
He's great.
And now you're sending him around the world on a bicycle with the star of the Life's Too Short show.
Yeah, Warwick Davis, who's a dwarf actor. And when I pitched the idea to Karl, we've just finished two series of An Idiot Abroad, where I sent him around the world, and then we're going to do a special. And I thought I'd step it up, and I said to Karl, I said, this time you're going around the world, but on a bicycle with Warwick Davis, the dwarf, in a basket. Right? And he didn't say, well, that's ridiculous. He said, so I'm doing all the peddling.
Ricky, let me ask you about Karl Pilkington. He is this great discovery that you made. There he is. He has a monkey on his back. You found this guy, and basically all you've done is ask him to be himself. He's a fascinating character.
Honestly, I feel like Anthony Hopkins in The Elephant Man.
Yeah.
Like I found this oddity, and I'm taking him around the world.
Where did you find him?
By the way, this is true. That's Karl's favourite film, The Elephant Man. He loves it. He said it's weird. I wish I could have met him, but he's dead. Right? There's a bit in it where Anthony Hopkins shows off John Merrick to a group of surgeons, and he's naked, and Anthony Hopkins is going, you see the deformation of the spine, the limbs, are the only things that are totally normal and untouched are the... And Karl went, think of that, the one thing you would want like an elephant, and he gets the head.
But it's funny, Karl's never trying to be funny. It just everything he says just happens to be genius.
Honestly, he talks in one-liners that comedians would die for, and he doesn't mean them. He just because he's childlike. There's never any malice. He's got no filter. There's no pretensions. I sent him around the world because I knew it would be out of his comfort zone. And
it's a show, Karl Pilkington Around the World. You're doing it again.
Yeah, it's called An Idiot Abroad. He didn't come up with the title. He didn't even know it was the title until he saw the billboards. It's great. It's like one big experiment. Like, you know, like you muck around and annoy mates?
Yes.
I do that on a global scale.
Yes.
Yeah. We're backed by millions. And I've just sent him around again. Idiot Abroad 3 is coming to Science Channel next year. And
you've teamed him up with someone this time, is that right?
Warwick Davis, who's the dwarf actor. Well, he's an actor. He's a dwarf.
Yeah. And
that's
you've
not his title, dwarf actor. He's an actor, and he happens to be a dwarf. I don't know why.
It's none of the business.
He doesn't put that on his. Well, it's because I told Karl once that when Dick Whittington, he apparently walked to London and became mayor, and he took his cat. And Karl went, "Why would you take a cat?" He said, he must have walked twice as far because cats wander. And he said, also, why didn't he take a little mate? So I've given him a little mate.
And does he gets along with Warwick?
No, he doesn't get along.
They don't get along?
No, they're arguing all the time. It's honestly, it's the best series so far because they just bicker. And Warwick's so gregarious and normal. And I stitched it up, so I always gave Warwick a better room and made sure Karl saw that. And Karl's like next to a toilet with like, it's just so funny. And I was editing the final episode, and Karl asked Warwick the funniest question I've ever heard anyone ask, and he's totally serious. He said to Warwick, he went, "Have you got knees?"
What does he think of this?
And Warwick just laughed. Warwick just went, he went, yes, I have, yes.
Have you watched Black Mirror?
Oh, no, I haven't, but it's...
Have you seen
the one about the body that we did on the podcast?
There's like a couple of them.
No, I have. I've heard it. Everyone tweeted me.
There's
I didn't see
stuff.
that one.
So
Shit.
there's Karl from Ricky's podcast, from the old podcast, predicted episodes of Black Mirror. Like they took, or the people who make Black Mirror heard this thing.
Well, I think that's more likely because Karl had a thing that he wished that when you went to the doctor could put you in a thing, and the doctor could feel what you were feeling, so he'd know because it's hard to describe the pain. And that was it. And I was going, so hold on, how would this work? Right? He had other ideas, like he said, "I've invented something." I go, "What?" He said, "See-through skin." Well, you can't do it. You can't say I've invented something and then go, "Oh, I don't know the details yet," but just get on with it. Right. You know. So it's mental stuff he came up with. So it was perfect for this. But yeah, I didn't see it, but everyone said
I'm in the middle of that one now. Actually, the doctor who has the thing in his neck. It's really fascinating.
It's just funny because on the YouTube video, like they take from the podcast and the animated series, and they show like the setup for it, and then they show it in the episode, and then they show like you and Steven going like, "Why would it do this?" And then Karl explains this, and then they show it in the episode.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I just had a medical, right? I have it every year, right? And I asked the doctor, right, why still the finger? And they've got now what is it called? Where they can tell if you've got prostate problems from a urine test. He went, but that only's one side of it. You can tell if they started, it's early, so the finger's never going away. The finger is never going away.
Oh, you were saying, why do you still... Oh, I thought you wanted an upgrade.
All this stuff, they was taking blood samples, and they were showing everything, but then he said, "No, I've got to stick my finger up."
Oh,
right?
you said, why still the finger?
Why still the finger? Yeah, and it's just not going away. They always need someone to feel it first because it's early stages and that. So
yeah, and you can fidget around in there.
That sounds like there's some doctors though that want to hold back some technology because they really I think manually is the way to do this.
Well, I go there every year and it's always and this guy is a big guy as well, and I thought, well, he's gonna have a fucking huge finger.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it, and it's not the worst thing. The worst now as well because they seem to hurt more. I don't know if I'm more sensitive or because I'm thinking about it, they sort of shrink. So he has to dig in now and get my balls out of their
shrink up
like a little turtle going into their shell. You know what I mean?
Testicles.
Yeah, because I'm so nervous now about a fucking squeeze.
The skin kind of hornet's nests up against your
honestly,
body.
he has to dig them out now.
I've heard about like somebody's like going back in when they get nervous or cold or whatever. I've never heard of somebody's going back into their body.
It must be a nervous reaction. I don't know. Which is odd because my are longer and stretchier than they've ever been. But so they should be easy. I mean, he could probably do it from across the other side of the room. But no, they were shrunk. So
potentially someone could perceive that as a hate crime.
But there's a history teacher, Vanessa Brown, who has been searched, photographed and fingerprinted after taking her daughter's devices off them in an attempt to ensure they were not distracted from their studies.
At the moment, we're seeing the police behave in what's close to completely irrational ways. And I think that comes from a really problematic trend within policing, which is to treat every report of a crime as though it requires the maximal use of police force.
I'll just be on there reading the news like that. Be like that. Yeah. More stabbings. Inflation. Earthquake. Rape up there.
Apparently during some conversations between yourself, apparently you have alleged, and we weren't here, so I don't know who said it, but you've alleged to say, speak English, or words to that effect? Speak clearly. Speak clearly.
I don't know where you are in the world, but we've had a terrible year. I don't want to be that bloke that complains, but it's been shit. And people say, oh, it's good for the farmers. They need a bit of sunshine too, though, don't they? It's not, they don't just want 6 months of rain. What are they farming? Mould. I'm a mould farmer. I'm a farmer, apparently, sort of officially, because I own an orchard and a distillery, because a Dutch barn. In a war, I could say I can't fight. I've got to go and turn apples into ethanol. I don't know what war would ever want me now. Maybe 40 years ago.
No, the gentleman's passed on a death.
Yeah, he can't speak clearly. Yeah.
So I couldn't even hear him.
No, and that's fine, and that's why we've just come to speak, because potentially someone could perceive that as a hate crime.
Did we just know this was going to happen?
No, I know. People, you know, if someone says to me, officer, I believe this, then we need to look at it, because...
Oh, God. The answer seems to be, well, we're finding out. We are finding out.
That's the thing about offence, isn't it? When people say they're offended, it's that just because you're offended, it doesn't mean you're right. You know, it's offence is about feelings, and feelings are personal. Some people are offended by equality. So what? You know, so you can't second guess people. If you try and please everyone, you'll please no one. With comedy as well, I think you've got to deal with taboos and contentious issues, and sometimes you deal in irony, and some people don't get that. But you know, you can't legislate against stupidity, otherwise you'll be doing nothing. You know, because I'm not doing it for the 200 egos in the room. I'm doing it for the 200 million people watching around who aren't winning awards, who aren't millionaires. And freedom of speech is so important these days. I've reached the age now where I don't care anymore. It's a sin. Not to joke about all the bad things, that's a waste. Because that's exactly what we should joke about. If you can laugh in the face of adversity, you're bulletproof.
I said recently, before these riots happened, I said, you know, it would be, and I might have said this to you in private before, Jordan, but I say it would be madness if people from the Indian subcontinent made up 3% of your population, it would be madness to try to demoralize that population or to try to find ways to just say that they were nothing and never had been anything, and it was sort of best if they just tried to sidle through their lives without harming anyone. Why would you do that to 3% of the population? Among other things, it's rude, it's cruel, it's unusual, and that 3% of the population is a significant amount of the population. You don't want to demoralize 3% of the population. Okay. Why would you do that to a majority? Who is so insane that they want to do this to majority populations? And the answer seems to be, well, we're finding out. We are finding out.
All the time. Yeah, that's the hill I die on. Freedom of speech is fundamental. You can't have a free society without it. It's good for everyone. It's a good system. Attacks on comedy, yeah, ludicrous. A lot of it's faux outrage. It's people owning each other now, innit? Wielding power. That sort of virtual signalling it's meaningless. It's when people pick up on things and they want to be, they're the ones that want to get credit for the hashtag. They want to be known as the person who, you know, and it's pure. It gets ridiculous to the point where everyone wants a piece of it. So it's basically going, look at me. I'll pick up on the tiniest thing. That's how perfect I am. That's how brilliant and woke I am. That I don't, and they start eating their own because it's a it's a form of sort of dogmatic purity where if they can't own the other side, they purify their own side to make them better. So, yeah, it's ludicrous. Ignore it. Just ignore it. They can't do it. Just ignore it. Someone says, oh, you can't say that. Go, yeah, all right, yes, oh, yeah, whatever. Yeah, bye.
Well, okay, let's delve into that on the ideational front. I mean, I would say, who would want to do that? Well, my sense is that it's this metastasization of Marxism. It's the spirit that metastasized Marxism that's bringing this about, and consciously. And so you have the people that hold the center, the majority of people who approximate some implicit ideal, however poorly. And then you have people who are perhaps unable to do that, or who are unwilling to do it, or who are even opposed to it. And they occupy the margin. And there's many of them. They're a plethora. And the postmodernists, especially the modern queer theorists, let's say, want to bring that margin into the center by whatever means necessary. Now, I think there's a profound philosophical misunderstanding that accompanies that desire. Although if the underlying desire at the base is just the desire for chaos, which is certainly possible, then it's not a mistake. It's not a bug. It's a feature. But, you know, we tend to believe in the West that an idea has its opposite, and that progress might be obtained by watching the war of a thesis and its antithesis.
I was reading, though, that you said the next pandemic you are predicting within maybe 25 years. Is that
certainly
accurate?
we'll have one in the next 25 years.
Studies have shown that as we grow old, we lose the ability to suppress inappropriate thoughts and inhibit offensive remarks. I've never had that. Exactly how old are you? Do comedians have older brains or less inhibitions to start with? Well, no, I don't think so. I think we probably are slightly different. Only because everyone's different, so that we probably do have some things in common. Personally, I like to discuss taboo subjects and contentious issues because I like to take the audience to a place it hasn't been before. I like that little worry because I sort of want to show that you can joke about anything. It depends on the joke. So I do purposely sometimes start a premise that's a bit scary, and then it's okay. So some people still don't think it's okay because they've been clouded. Some people think that you shouldn't joke about certain things, which is usually personal to them, and that's fine. But I can justify everything.
Well, and you, Mr. Gates, you also called Elon Musk's political influence abroad, quote, insane, along with another word we can't repeat here. But what's your take on his political access and influence here in America right now?
Well, Elon, his private sector work, has been very innovative, really fantastic. A lot of private sector people, when they get into government, they don't take the time necessarily to see what the good work is or why it's structured the way it is. So I'm a little worried.
It's an odd thing to say you shouldn't joke about a subject when it totally depends on what you're saying about the subject. You wouldn't say you shouldn't talk about a subject,
Particularly with this USAID stuff. My foundation partners with USAID on nutrition and getting vaccines out. And, there's incredible people. They're not actually worms that work there. So, hopefully we'll get some of that work back in shape. In fact, if we don't, you could have literally millions of deaths. So, with aid, people think, wow, how much do we give to these countries? As you said, it's less than 1%. People think it's 5% and it should be 2%, but it's actually under 1%.
Wow, and still saving lives.
I think as people assume a joke about something is putting it down. a joke is a negative thing. Well, it doesn't have to be. It can be pro, anti, indifferent. You know, this thing about punching up and punching down. Puns don't punch anywhere. They're a play on words. They're a mind trick. I think we purposely have less inhibitions because we want to explore things. But I don't think we're. But I think you do. You're right. I think as you get older, you lose a bit. I think your brain shrinks, doesn't it? And it affects the part of your brain that inhibits us. That's why you get old people saying awful things, which I think is funny. If an old person says some old people's rights, like my mum, she'd just say to me, "Rick, you look fat. Rick, you look absolutely disgusting." Mind you, she used to say things like that when she was younger.
Before COVID, you say you spent the most sleepless nights worrying about pandemics. After COVID, has that changed? And if it has, what keeps you up now? Because we all need to know.
Yeah, the pandemic, sadly, was fairly predictable. And it won't be the last pandemic. The next one could be far more severe.
Can't go around. You can't, as a human, you can't go around licking other people. That's sort of a rule in human society, particularly during a pandemic.
I mean, this one, it killed millions. It was awful. We got the vaccine. You know, actually, President Trump's leadership was a factor in getting that out quickly. And so when I spoke to him, I said, okay, here's some other medical innovations, including a thing called an HIV cure that could be accelerated. So, we should be more prepared, both for a pandemic. I'd say that's still number one. You can worry about nuclear war. You can worry about AI.
This
There's
sounds like
plenty to worry about. But
do you
overall,
sleep
I'm
at
an
all?
optimist.
Okay.
No, I mean, it's up to the government to think ahead on behalf of the citizens.
Yes.
So, pandemic, there's a lot that we should be doing that hopefully we'll get our act together before the next one comes. Overall, the innovation in health, both in the developing countries, the rich world, I love being part of that.
I was reading, though, that you said the next pandemic you are predicting within maybe 25 years. Is that
certainly
accurate?
we'll have one in the next 25 years. There's even some pathogens out there that we're watching over right now. So maybe 10% chance in the next 4 years.
How long is this going on? How long have I got to do this? Just do something. Thank you so much. Tatty bye, everyone. Be nice to animals. Tatty bye.
The Russian president saying that if Ukraine those into Russian territory, he would consider the U.S. and other NATO countries directly involved and therefore at war with Russia.
I thought it was apt as we come out of a global pandemic and then some tries to start World War III. Typical. Cat Stevens, he's been with me forever. That's off the Teaser in the Firecat album, which is the first album I ever owned that was mine. Not the first one I bought with my own money. That was Stranded by Roxy Music. But that was the first one I owned. I think I'd asked for it. My sister got me it, and I think she said I could have an album. Would it have been 1971, 72? What would I have been? 10, 11? Anyway, I still love it. And I don't know whether it's the nostalgia or that every song on it is amazing. But check it out. Teaser in the Firecat. Cat Stevens. Plug. Classic. It's only 50 years old. Topical. So, yeah. Right. Questions. How are you, everyone? Yeah, I know. What can you do? what can you do? There's always something, isn't there?
We want to turn now to the war in Ukraine and fears of a wider conflict. President Biden and UK's Prime Minister met on Friday to discuss allowing the Ukrainian military to use long-range to strike deep inside Russia. But Russian President Vladimir Putin is now warning of severe consequences if that happens.
The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been pleading with allies for months to let his country fire long-range Western-made deep into Russian territory. We're talking specifically here about the U.S. ATACMS and the British Storm Shadows. Ukraine says these long-range will allow its forces to air bases and other military targets from which every single day Russia is launching attacks that are Ukrainian civilians. Until it's given the green light by Western countries, the Ukrainian military cannot hit those Russian targets. But the U.S. and the U.K. appear increasingly open to lifting the restrictions, which prompted a warning from Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, saying that if Ukraine fired those into Russian territory, he would consider the U.S. and other NATO countries directly involved and therefore at war with Russia. His remarks signal he may be willing to escalate against the West in response, and some Western officials are concerned this could mean acts of sabotage against their infrastructure or possibly, Peter, NATO bases.
There's always summer, even if it's not, a world concern, if it's not a pandemic or global warming or nuclear war or tragedy, right? There's always something wrong. Do you know what I mean? You just pick up. At my age, every day gets a little bit shitter. I ache a bit more. So, the news is one thing, but I'm already in pain. Oh, God. I take vitamins and things and supplements now. Ointments. My latest, nothing I can do about it, but I've been trying to keep fit, which is harder and harder, right? So I go jogging or walking every day, depending on if I've got like my knees have thawed out or I haven't got sprained ankle or bad back. I try and go running or walking every day, right? And this is way too much information, right? I haven't been wearing pants unless I have to go on a chat show or something. I was on a couple of those. So it's been nice to get up, take my pyjamas off, put on tracksuit bottoms, work. But, like joggers, I've got joggers clunge because it's a bit of chafing down there. So I put underpants on today. I thought if I could stop everything scrabbling around. Yeah, I don't know if it worked. So there you go. I forget that newspapers watch this shit, and then they do an article like I spoke to them. Ricky told us he's got runner's clunge. Like I f***ing say, call the papers up. Hello?
Vladimir Putin says Russia will be at war with NATO if Ukraine uses long-range deep into Russia. How far into Russia do you think Ukraine should be able to strike?
Vladimir Putin is striking regularly in the heart of Ukraine. He's sending hospitals, at daycare centers, at families and communities across Ukraine, and it was his choice. His choice.
Yeah, just pop this in your... Yeah, I know there's a war on, but pop this page 4. I've got runner's clunge, and I want to know what you, as the press of Great Britain, intend to f***ing do about it. Someone just said Vaseline. Yeah, I know. Right, that's settled.
To invade a neighboring sovereign nation. His choice to start this conflict, and it could be his choice to end it tomorrow. All he has to do is pull back his troops into Russian territory. But he won't do that. He is not just trying to remove any choice that Ukrainians have around where they want their future to go, remove their independence, remove their sovereignty. He's trying to deeply destabilize the international rules-based order that protects us all, not just in every democracy around the world, but in all countries around the world. Any country with a neighbor with a slightly larger army should be worried if it suddenly becomes allowed to invade and redraw lines on the map. And that's why Canada and others are unequivocal that Ukraine must win this war against Russia. And we will continue to be there to support Ukraine. And yes, Canada fully supports Ukraine using long-range to prevent and interdict Russia's continued ability to degrade Ukrainian civilian infrastructure and mostly to kill innocent civilians in their unjust war.
Luckily, I don't have many sad days, like some people do. Everyone feels fed up, or I'm annoyed all the time, or something I'm not looking forward to hangs over me. That can be something like when people would think, oh, it's lovely. Like, oh, I got an award show. I threw, oh, God, to get dressed up and go out at 4 o'clock. I don't, those are the sort of things. Or a dentist appointment. Oh, for fuck's sake. I just want everything to be, I wouldn't even say fun. I want peace and quiet. That's all I want. And it's times like this I realise how fundamental and important just peace is. Just peace. It's number one for me now. Just peace. Favourite way to eat Brussels sprouts? I'm not a fan. I mean, there isn't a favourite way to eat Brussels sprouts. Not via the mouth. I think suppositories. I think Rolling Stones. Still an amazing song. Brown Sugar might be my favourite. I asked for questions again, just a few, just to get us going. It sort of kicks it off, doesn't it? We go off. I mean, we end up talking about me in a bucket in a drain, or me ranting about fucking idiots in the world destroying the planet. But it gives us something to structure it, doesn't it? I haven't got you lot who chew. Fuck me. I'm not even pissed. Who tune in, who don't get their question asked because I can't read because my eyesight's going. But hello. Hey Arla, let's kick off. Heather 53 says, any advice? In general, write about what you know if you want to create your own stuff. I think that's what I mean by comedian. Otherwise, I think you'd say comic actor. But whether you're, writing a sitcom or doing stand-up, I think, write about what you know, what you're passionate about. It doesn't have to mean you're just lecturing people. You can say stupid things and flights of fancy, but sort of do what you're good at. Don't pander. Don't try and look at a trend. Don't try and be like someone. Just do what you find funny. If someone makes you laugh, then there's probably enough people in the world that'll also, unless you're absolutely mental. And even then, I'd go and see someone just saying the most mental things. So there's a niche. There's a niche for you. Don't rush it. Don't do things for the sake of it because you think you're running out of time. It'll just come. And then enjoy every minute of it. You don't have to give up a top job and just start doing gigs. You can do gigs once a week if you've got a job. If you're a teacher, you can go and do 5 minutes. It'll take longer to get good at it, I guess, with other things in the world, but at least you'll be being paid. At least you'll be paying the rent. If you don't fancy being a stand-up, some people don't like performing. You can write. You can just write sketches. You'll be surprised how many people want stuff. Well, when there's telly being made. But I'd say if you can, do it yourself. Be independent. Stand-up's a good way because you do it on your terms. I mean, it might not pay a lot at the beginning, but as I say, you know, what would you be doing anyway? Just stay true to yourself and enjoy it. Just enjoy it. And know it's going to take a while. Every day you'll go, oh, I was rubbish yesterday when I thought I was okay. I'm better now. But that's lovely. Then you look down the road in a couple of years and go, oh my God, look how far I've come. Favourite nickname for the nonce? Obviously the character from Afterlife. Ratty and the nonce in the pub and they're shouting out his nicknames. I mean, Billy the Cunt is purist. So it's just so shit. It's so shit and witless. Billy the Kid. Oh no, Billy the Cunt. That's why it's funny to me. Because they're meant to be fucking idiots. They're meant to be morons. I would shit my moment. I mean, Long Dong Silver made me laugh. Again, so pathetic. And how shit, mum. Your mum's shit. That was one. Your mum's shit as a nickname. Here comes your mum's shit. I think Billy the Cunt, because it's witlessness. It's nearly good, but it's not. What sports, if any, did you participate in when you were younger? I did sport. I still do. I did all the things kids have to do. I played football, cricket, rugby, athletics, all that. I was okay at all of them. Actually, I was okay at athletics and football. Terrified at rugby. Just terrified. I got rid of them. They put me. I can't even remember. I don't know about rugby at all. But I remember I think they put me on the wing because I was quite fast, and I would just get rid of the ball immediately. If that ball came to me, I would get rid of it before someone tackled me. The ground was hard. We only played in fucking winter. Same with cricket. I'm a pretty good bowler, but I'm a terrible batsman because at my school, in the practice nets, the aim of the game was to injure the batsman. What the fuck? No one wanted to get good. They just wanted to... At my school, it was like, how can we get away with violence without breaking the law? So if you were in the back, I mean, people just whizzing the ball at your head. So these are the things I had to contend with. And then my best sport, I suppose, that I taught myself was tennis. When I was like 13, 14, I borrowed a racket and I played every day after school in the gym when it was empty against the wall. And I within a year, I was sort of best in the school. I think that's because tennis was probably looked down upon. And combat sports, I did judo and karate. Yeah, and my favourite sport to watch now is still sort of MMA. Boxing's up there, but I love mixed martial arts. It's great. And I still love, I love watching tennis and that, but yeah. So yeah, but obviously what I do now is my main one is pumping iron. Right. Well, to play and watch, probably tennis. I love watching the Ultimate Fighter, but I don't, I don't do that. How to deal with failure and disappointment in life? Well, you can't. I mean, I don't know. You deal with it. You have to. I mean, try and rule it out, I guess. You're always going to have disappointment, aren't you? I mean, that's just part of life. But, I mean, I can't imagine there being a life without disappointment. Even if it's not your own, I'm disappointed every day. I'm disappointed every day. I look on Twitter and I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed today. Some woman leaving a 3-legged dog in the road, abandoning it. Oh, fucking hell. There's nothing I can do. I just don't fucking hell, what can I do? So, I don't know if you mean that sort of disappointment. I guess you mean trying and failing at something. Well, disappointment, you're always going to be disappointed and stuff, right? You look out your window and there's going to be disappointment, right? So let's rule that out. Deal with failure. That's a big word, failure. Failure. I think some people mistake trying with failure, and I don't think that's true. I don't think you can fail if you never stop trying. How have you failed? You'd say, I haven't finished yet. If you're doing starting off a painting and someone pops in and goes, that's shit, you go, I haven't finished yet. I haven't failed. I haven't finished yet. And I think you can apply that to life. You know, You can apply that to career. You go, well, I haven't failed. I haven't finished yet. You get better and better every day. And I think that's what you look at. You're better today than you were yesterday. Just because you're not, you give yourself a 1-year plan or a 3-year plan, or someone across the road from you who's got more money, that's not failing. You haven't finished yet. That's what you've got to tell yourself. I haven't failed. I haven't finished yet. Favourite way to eat Brussels sprouts? I'm not a fan. I mean, there isn't a favourite way to eat Brussels sprouts. Not via the mouth. I think suppositories. I think if someone says, "How would you like these Brussels sprouts, sir?" I go, "You've got to shove them up my ass." That's the only way I can consume these fucking Brussels sprouts. These evil little fucking bogey cabbages. I think you've got to. This isn't a cookery program. Wouldn't you love that? Wouldn't you fucking love that? If you're watching one of those cookery programs and Jamie Oliver went, "Yeah, it's lovely Brussels sprouts here. Just shove them up your ass. You just pop them, you just pucker. Just shove them right up your ass. There you go, pop them up there. Oh yeah." What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Jamie Oliver shoving Brussels sprouts up his ass. What a load of bollocks this is. Oh. This might be a breakdown, you see. If you saw someone trying to do comedy and it was like this on stage and no one was laughing, you go, fucking hell. That's pretty funny, isn't it? A proper breakdown. Facile Talk, well, that's good for this show, says, "Were you ever scared that the devil would pull you down the toilet?" No, but I think he's had a go at my toes by the look of them. I think the devil has been bungee jumping with my bollocks. If I'm being totally honest. But no, is that one of those things that kids? I remember my mum said eating in the toilet was feeding the devil. I mean, that's just a mother trying to get a 5-year-old not to get diseases, isn't it? Like eating in the toilet and go, "Oh God, it'll catch something." So as opposed to saying there's bacteria around and you might imbibe them and that's feeding the devil. But also, I remember thinking, I don't mind feeding the devil if he's got to eat. What no skin off my nose, I don't care. He's horrible. Yeah, I know, but he's got to eat. Also, I don't think I ever did fucking eat in the toilet. What sort of kid goes and eats in the toilet? Why was you telling me that? I remember once, right, there must have been like a scare or something when I was a kid. And I mean little, like 7 or 8. And she said, "Don't go into the public toilets in the park," right? She said, "There's a man in there that cuts off little boys." So clearly there was a fucking around, and she couldn't explain that to me. Well, you couldn't, right? So she just gave me the most horrific fucking thing to think about. I never went in the toilet. I never got nonced up, never. So it worked, didn't it? It worked. You know, say what you will about the methods, but it fucking worked. I did not go in that public toilet. A mother's got to do what a mother's got to do. Sometimes just route one. Well, how can I stop my kid getting hurt? To just tell him it's the worst thing fucking possible in that public toilet. Rupert, the fat little Jack Russell with a winkle halfway up his belly. Did we all come from lizards? I mean, I'm being asked questions about evolution by a dog. Right, let's answer it. Well, the quick answer is yes, sort of. But there's a confusion there with the come from lizards. Okay, let's not do lizards, right? But yes, we all came from something before lizards. So that, you know, at the moment there was a single cell, everything came from that. But you've got to think of it as branches of a tree as opposed to a sort of lineage sometimes. Like the big mistake people make, right? Anti sort of evolutionists, they think they've got this question. They think they own biologists by saying, if we evolved from chimps, then why are there still chimps around? Well, there's so many things wrong with that. But the first one is the mistake they're making is evolved from, right? We didn't evolve from modern chimps. Modern humans didn't evolve from modern chimps. We evolved with modern chimps from a common ancestor, like cousins. Like you and your cousin, you came from your grandmother, didn't you? But you wouldn't say, I evolved from my cousin. You'd say, I evolved with my cousin, from my grandmother. And you just do that on a massive scale. There's this great model. I think it was Richard Dawkins sort of developed it. He said, it's about I suppose the scale that people can't get over. Some people say, well, I've watched a chimp in the zoo for 20 years and it hasn't evolved. Okay, right, let's do it. So it's about, you're looking at a snapshot in time. So this model, he says, if you've got a photo album and you look at you, there's you in there, then you look at your dad, you go, oh, he looks just like me. Then you look at your granddad and he goes, oh, yeah, he looks quite like me. Then you look at your great granddad and you go, yeah, he's similar. And you do that, right? And you do that for generations. If you do that for 100 generations, you're back to freaking, Julius Caesar. You still look human. You still look, well, you look the same, really. You do that for 1,000 generations, and you're back to freaking cavemen, right? You do it for a million generations, and you're back to before we split from chimps. We split from chimpanzees. We came from a common ancestor of a chimpanzee about 5 or 6 million years ago. So that's not long, is it? That's why we're very much like chimps. And it takes that long. It takes that long to look just this different. You can see the similarity between us and particularly me. So, yeah, we're closer to chimps than chimps are to gorillas. So I hope that answers your question, Rupert. And the other thing they say is, well, evolution is just a theory. Well, it is, but not like they mean it. The theory, a scientific theory, isn't the same as you use it in everyday language. It doesn't mean a hunch. It's, evolution is gravity is a theory. No one argues with it. It's a scientific theory. Also, the theory bit in evolution is the mechanism. It's the theory of natural selection, really. Evolution is a proven fact. It happened. Look around you. We actually use it. We use it in plants and animals, selective breeding. Dogs, yeah, Rupert, dogs. Now, dogs, we've played with them, right? With evolution, it takes ages, millions of years to see a difference, right? From a little genetic mutation to that to catch hold to make a big difference. This gene might be recessive, it might take, anyway. But we can go, we can get this dog that looks a bit like that, and we get this dog that looks like that, and we can enhance that and make a dog that's even more like that. So, like a Jack Russell, Rupert, you are a Jack Russell, right? You are the same species as a magnificent German Shepherd, right? You're both sort of from wolves, common ancestor wolves, but man came along and went, listen, look, we've got this beautiful German Shepherd that's much like the wolf, but we want a much shorter, fatter, more useless dog. We've got the German Shepherd, it's beautiful, it's like a wolf, but we want a much shorter, fatter, stumpier dog. We want a dog, we've got the lovely German Shepherd, it's wolf-like, it's long legs, we want a dog with such short legs, it looks like a slug, looks like a hairy, furry slug would be. We want a fat little fucking slug type dog with stumpy little fucking feet, right? And a winkle halfway up its belly. And that's how they made the Jack Russell. Oh, poor Rupert. Well, there you go. Fun, educational, the theory of evolution, and Jamie Oliver shoving Brussels sprouts up his arm. Thanks for listening. Stay safe, be creative, be nice to animals. Tatty bye, everyone. Tatty bye.